Persona is a series that's existed for 30 years, 41 when we include the lore that connects it to Megami Tensei. And with a series that's been going on for that long, there's a lot of spots in the lore that either break the canon or just isn't known by most people in the fanbase. So, today I'm here to explain obscure lore. If you enjoy it, be sure to subscribe and leave a suggestion about other bits of lore that I can explain in part 2. Anyways, strap in and enjoy.
Welcome to the Velvet Room.
I am Philemon, a dweller between consciousness and unconsciousness.
Now, let's take a look into your future, shall we?
Now, technically, the earliest born Persona user that we see on screen is... You can't make this shit up. In the Persona universe, after all of his actions in the Second World War, he flew to Antarctica, stole an alien ship, and became a god. Now, for those of you who played Persona 2, you might be thinking, wasn't this just Nyarlathotep in disguise? And you would be partially right. However, due to the power of rumors, this was thought into existence in the original Persona universe, and he used Nyarlathotep as a persona, meaning that technically, yes, this guy was in fact the earliest born Persona user that we see, since he was born in 1889. What the fuck was going on in the original trilogy? In Persona 1, every time you encounter an Agastya Tree, it functions as a place to save the game. And I couldn't be the only one that's thought about its actual function in canon, right? Because to me, my best guess was like it being like an oil tree that was used for that freak shit. But after a bit of digging, and by digging I mean actually reading the Persona 1 manga, playing the game, and searching the art book, and not digging in my ass crack, eventually I had to give up. I couldn't find much. So I finally just surrendered, went to the wiki, and it seemed pretty bare bones at first and lacking a lot. But that's when I found this trading card and translated. The tree has two primary functions. 1, it gives knowledge to those who seek it, and 2, it remembers the past, present, and future on its leaves. And this actually unveils two big revelations about the timeline and Mikachicho City. Since the trees are dotted all over the city and even inside of the main school, that means that the trees are widely accepted and that small supernatural occurrences are commonly accepted around town because of, the speaking function of the tree that exists. And since we only see these trees inside of this game, that means it must be native to Mikachicho City and must be an under-the-radar thing, or else there'd be more people looking into it. In addition to that, since the petals can see into the future, it implies that everyone's fate in the Persona universe is already pre-written, and that's an interesting concept that I feel like can be touched on in a future title in the series. Did you know that the Phantom Thieves can't use Evokers? Yes, it's as straightforward as it sounds. Look, since Evokers require the user to accept death and basically believe that the Evoker is a real gun, and the Phantom Thieves need to pretend their fake guns are real for them to work in the metaverse, that means that if the Thieves were to use Evokers, they would likely end up blowing their brains on the other teams. Imagine how awkward that would have been inside of Q2. The investigation team would have been fucking traumatized. For our last interesting lore fact of the day, we'll be talking about more of the Persona timeline. And before I begin, I just want to say that I know not many people have played the new Raidou game, or, the remaster of it, that's recent. So I'll be a little more than vague, just so people won't be spoiled for that. If you want to talk about it in the comments in more detail, then please go ahead. I'll respond accordingly and even, talk about the game's events. I just don't want to spoil the game too much for anyone that hasn't played it. Anyways, back on topic. Most timeline creators, much like myself, believe that the Raidou games are one of the earliest points in the timeline that is the catalyst of change for the SMT-if/Persona timeline. Why is that the case, you're probably asking? Well, it's because the neutral endings for both Raidou games perfectly set things up that mean major things for the timeline going forward. This means that depending on the ending of the game, he either causes or prevents major events that cause a branching timeline that either leads to different games, or, you know, the SMT-if/Persona universe. But it's not just the games that he's in, it's the prequel manga and sequel mangas that he has that makes things more apparent and sets more things into stone. Fuck, if we want to get really specific too, there's at least 12 different branching timelines that happen just from his existing. So Raidou is undoubtedly the anchor being of the SMT-if/Persona timeline. Without him, all of the other timelines would be vastly different or just cease to exist entirely. For example, Strange Journey would happen. Literally one of the worst fucking SMT timelines there is. It has a fucking crazy beginning of the game. Look, timelines are weird, and if there's enough demand for it from this video, then I'll dedicate an entire video covering all of the branching timelines that are inside of the SMT-if/Persona universe, because trust me, like I said, there's at least 12. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this entry in my new series. It's a bit different, but I am basically a Persona lore researcher now, or unemployed. The thing that stumped me the most about this video was the Agastya Tree. The others I knew basically a lot about, so I do have a lot more in the tank in terms of lore to share, and, you know, if I made any mistakes, please correct me. Anyways, it's been your Hispanic Pappy Meric, and signing off. Have a beautiful day, everyone. I just realized this is like my first video in 5 years where I didn't say beautiful chads and shoutouts.